So welcome everybody to the hands-free forex profit system. Yesterday I said I would record the second module of this course, but before that I want to give us a bonus module. And here I want to talk about how I came to be at this point where I'm consistently profitable in the market. It started in 2011. Actually, you'll find out that most people in their success story, there will be a personal touch, a personal inspiration somewhere, a point where things started changing on account of the unique dynamics taking place in the person's life. And of course, discipline and all that counts, but sometimes it's not necessarily the unique ingredient. And I think that's what you'll find in my case. So in 2011, I was studying to be a programmer. I was trying to get an international diploma in software engineering, and we're doing a lot of programming, a lot of Linux shell scripting, Java programming, and all that. And I started delving into the market in 2008. And I like to watch Bloomberg TV. So one day I came back from class and I don't know if I came back from class or it was a Saturday, but I know that I was watching Bloomberg TV and there was this news, that was being relayed by the anchors. And it was that a former Goldman Sachs employee, a programmer, had been released from jail after being sentenced for 8 years. He had been released after he had spent about, I think, a year or so in jail. The reason is that when he was leaving, he took a little bit of the software he made for them for trading, proprietary software, and that software had been responsible for making millions of dollars for them. So he was going and he felt, well, he's a programmer, but so he can take some of it. He took some of the codes, and Goldman Sachs said, hey, we're going to go after you and we're going to sue you and you're going to end up in jail. So the news was that he had been acquitted. That was the news. And it got me thinking, because at the time there were lots of forex robots being sold for $300, $500 and all that, and I had been suspecting that these robots were not quite good. My frustration with using robots is I never knew the rules behind them. I couldn't tweak anything, and I could see the patterns in the market, but I couldn't tweak anything. They would just do what they want to do, So immediately I saw that news item, it confirmed my suspicion. And my suspicion had been that the expert advisors, that is the robots in the market, the robots that existed on the planet that were actually very profitable, the stakes surrounding them were not such as would let the creators or the owners invite the whole world to come and download them for $300 a piece, So the stakes would be so high because you see, Goldman Sachs, they're a multi-billion-dollar financial institution. That man is just a single man and he's a programmer, right? And they felt it was good for them to go after him and let him rot in jail for 8 years, spend 8 years in jail for codes he helped build, So I knew that it would be profitable to start learning how to program expert advisors. By the way, for those of you who don't know what an expert advisor is, it's a trading robot, forex robot. It's a robot or let's say a program that will execute your strategy in the market for you on your behalf, whether you're there or not. So it takes away the human and let the machine, in this case the codes, do the trading for you. So that was it. I started trying to learn how to code at the time. I started trying to learn how to code at the time, and then I got something that is called a "what you see is what you get" program, where I don't have to code because I wanted to do it fast. So you draw the logic and it creates the codes for you in the background. You see? So it got to a point where I didn't need to do that anymore. From the codes that it had created for me in the background, I worked on that, and over the years, I came to the point where I was making some success, but I would find something I didn't like about what I was doing, and I would scrap what I had done. In 2015, I made something super, and I wish I could lay my hands on it. I tweaked it. It wasn't super anymore. I couldn't figure out the tweak I had made to alter that super thing I had done. So that was the first glimmer of hope. But what really happened was, I used to be connected with lots of, not lots of, let's say a handful of, say 3 or 2 other forex traders in my city, and would help each other. When they found out I could write code, they want me to write code for them, but most of the time what I was doing was modifying my code according to how they suggested, if I had the time for it, because my philosophy was different from theirs. So I'll write code and give it to them so that they can test it. If it works, it's fine. If it doesn't work, it's all good. We go back to the drawing board and all that stuff. So most of it was my code. Most of it was not their suggestion, because their philosophy was kind of different. So at the time, I didn't have much money actually, and I couldn't even afford a VPS to test my program. And if you don't know what a VPS is, it's a computer that's always connected to the internet, so that your program, your expert advisor, can always be working, because that's when the results will be all right. So I gave it to one of these people that were supposed to be my friend. And normally when I give them my program, they'll show me the results and say, hey, why don't we change it like this and all that. I say, okay, if I have the time, I'll do it, but I think I should go this way instead. So that was the practice. That was the thing between us, over the years. But this last time, I gave this fellow my code. In fact, we had not communicated for some months. So I called him and said, hey, I've got something. I don't have a VPS. Please test it on your VPS. And then I sent it to him. And I said, okay, how is it doing? He didn't say anything. Show me how it's doing, please. He didn't say anything. Then I got suspicious. I said, hey, this thing should be doing well. Why would he just not tell me anything? And so I belong to a trading group on Skype. And that group consisted of traders from around the world, the United States, Canada, and Australia in particular. And so I talked to one of them in the group and said, hey, look, I've written this stuff. I would like you to test it on your VPS. And that is when I saw the power of what I had created. That is when I saw the power of what I created. But, one funny thing is that this, my friend whom I had given this thing to, he did not know that I had fixed an expiry code into it. I fixed the date when it would expire. And so I knew when it expired. And, the funny thing is that he called me later. He didn't call me immediately it expired, because he knew I would laugh at him, so he waited a little bit, called me later, said he needs to see me for something. And then after a long meeting where we never talked about, I didn't talk about the program. He didn't talk about it. When I wanted to leave, he said, he has an he wants me to modify and all that stuff. I said, really? Yeah. He said, okay. I said, okay, send me the codes. I said I was not going to charge him. Send me the codes and I'll work on it. And he never did, so I left him. So that's when I knew that I had got something great, because first, he refused to give it to me. Second, I tested it myself with my Canadian friend, and the results were just astonishing. So, I'd like to show you, because I searched for the fellow who had whose plight created that thought in my head that I should start writing, I should start practicing to write programs that trade in the market. As a matter of fact, I said to myself, if in class all this Java programming we were doing was actually MQL for programming, MQL4 is the language for programming EAs. If that's it, that we would be very rich. But unfortunately, we were doing Java, and most of us are not even using Java in the marketplace when we try to make programs for clients. But anyway, this is it. Take a look at this. The Inquirer. Ex-Goldman Sachs programmer gets 8 years. You know, a former Goldman Sachs computer programmer was sentenced to 8 years in prison on Friday because he stole high-frequency trading software for his new employer. Perhaps the only person from Goldman Sachs to be convicted for stealing despite the biggest banking heist in history, Sergei Aleynikov, was arrested by the Federal Bureau of Investigation in July 2009 for removing the code. He took the code just before he left Goldman Sachs and started his new job. That's from the Inquirer, and that's in 2011, as you can see. And this one says it's the same thing, 2011, about the same date. You know, former Goldman Sachs programmer gets 8 years in prison for stealing firm's computer code, which he helped them write. By the way, what's this? This is the same thing. You can see the date is 2011, March 18th. Okay. Programmer gets 8 years for theft of stock trading software. Wall Street where generated 500 million in profits. I believe Goldman Sachs claimed it generated more than $500 million in profits while that software was working for them. And that's a very sad thing, you know. This is where I met the story. I met the story where he was being freed because after 1 year he was being freed because his lawyer was able to prove that, okay, he didn't steal something physical. So you cannot call that corporate espionage, you know. So he was a very happy man. But you know what I found out afterward? I found out today, because I stopped following the story ever since then. I think this was 2012. As you can see, he was freed after 1 year. But I found out today that, guess what? Uh-oh. He was convicted again. The banks would not let him go. They were tenacious about punishing this single man. You know, he immigrated from Russia into America. They were bent on punishing him, so they went and looked for laws that would find him guilty and eventually succeeded. I feel sorry for him. So the question that comes to mind is, why would a multi-billion-dollar company go after this man so tenaciously? It means the stakes are just so high. And I was right then that the stakes are that high. So anyway, now the reasons why I'm profitable with programming, with my software, I will explain to you in the course. And you cannot really beat a software. There are some things in which a human might be better than a machine, but there are many things in which a machine is going to be better than a human being, just because of the way we are made. We are made to rest, sleep, think, be emotional, be angry, be sad, be happy, not be in the mood, you know. So that's the reason why my program works and I'm profitable in the market. So I just wanted to let you know that this is how and why I came to this point where I'm profitable, because I saw this news item years ago. Anyway, I didn't know he had been reconvicted. I saw the news item years ago and it told me that, hey, programming is the right way to go. And I pursued it over all these years. And it was just last year, December, everything came together. you see. So that